Welcome to Non-Texas Football. My name is Gerry Hamilton, your host today. Plantation, Florida, American Heritage High to see 2026 four-star quarterback Dia Bell. Dia, I guess, thanks for giving me the time today. Let's talk about Texas. You visited Texas in mid-March.
Yes, sir.
What were your initial thoughts and reactions to the visit? Because I think that's the first time you've been on campus there.
It was my first time in a long time. I had actually been back when I was in 8th grade for a camp. I wasn't really a recruit or anything at that time.
Different when you're a recruit, right?
For sure. But I loved my time there. I enjoyed my time there with Coach Sark and Coach Milwee, and I'm excited to get back up.
So anything specifically stand out about the visit to you? I mean, because obviously Texas offered you, and they've stayed very much in the forefront of your recruitment. What stood out? I mean, that's kept Texas there.
I'd say my relationship with Coach Milwee.
Okay.
I mean, he remembered me back when I was in 8th grade, even though I wasn't a recruit. And then when I went back, I already had some sort of relationship there. I mean, because he had reached out to my head coach, and then I had made sure I've been calling him since then, and that was even before I got an offer. So I had been building that relationship behind the scenes for a pretty long time now. So that's kind of what stands out.
What made you decide to go to a camp there in 8th grade? Because you were living here, right, at the time?
Yeah. No, I've lived here most of my life. Yeah. So
what made you decide to get out to Austin for a camp?
I had actually went to Texas A&M camp,
okay.
And UT's camp was the next day. So
okay.
I was like, I might as well hit both and see how it goes.
Yeah. So what about Texas? Did you watch them play last year?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What has impressed you about what Steve Sarkisian's done at Texas?
I mean, their quarterback play is always great. I mean, his track record everywhere he's been at. He recruited Bryce Young. Just had Quinn Ewers, and it's going to have Arch Manning after that. So, I mean, he's always had a good track record with quarterbacks. And I feel like their offense translates well to the NFL, more of a pro-style type of offense, and that's very intriguing.
Yeah, so you mentioned you talk to Coach Milwee about once a week. What is his message to you? What do you guys talk about?
I mean, we just catch up most of the time. I obviously know that he's made it sure that I knew that I'm one of his top guys in the 26th class, and that he's going to keep recruiting me hard. And so I just like to keep building my relationship and make sure I'm catching up with him every week.
When you were on campus for the visit, obviously you spent some time with Coach Sark, right?
Yes, sir.
What did he kind of tell you? What was his message to you at the time?
I mean, honestly, it was like it was my first meeting with him.
Yeah.
So just trying to get to know me and
right.
as a person and know my background, and then he dropped the offer on me, and I was super stoked because I didn't know that was even a thing.
And I was going to follow up.
Yeah.
Were you surprised?
I was very, very surprised. I had already set my mind on June 1st camp.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was hoping to make my statement for them. And it ended up happening during my visit, so I was super stoked.
Who was in the room with you when that happened?
It was me and my dad. So no.
Was he surprised or was he expecting it?
No, we were both.
He wasn't low key expecting it.
No.
Okay.
We were both super surprised. It was great to meet him. It was great to be able to talk to him and start and build that relationship there as well.
Do you talk to any Texas players?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, no. Yeah.
Okay. But you're a little young for that. That normally happens a year from now. What were your dad's impressions of Texas? Because he's been to a lot of places too.
Yeah. He's been to all over the place.
Probably not everywhere.
Played college basketball too, so he knows the landscape a little bit. Not obviously football is a different thing, but he loved Texas. I mean, it's a great city. It's a great culture they have behind their football there, and they're always a good team, and they always do good with quarterbacks. So, I mean, he loves it. Yeah,
and I guess other schools you're considering. How many schools are you talking to, and who are those schools?
I mean, I talked to a bunch of schools. I can name you probably a couple, like Miami, Penn State, LSU, Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, Auburn, schools like that.
How many of those campuses have you been on?
I've been on all of them.
Okay.
Honestly, except Oregon.
Except Oregon.
Yeah. I've been to Alabama, too. I talked to them a lot as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, and you said you're going to Texas June 1st. Where else do you want to get out to this summer?
I would love to get to Oregon, hopefully. I mean, I've heard special things about Eugene. I mean, I've had a couple of our players from Heritage have went there before, so they always have good things to say about them. But that is super far away, so it's like you got to go in the summer almost, so... but I'd also like to get back out to school at Alabama so I can show my parents. I didn't get to go with my parents last time. It's me and my grandfather.
Okay.
And then I'd like to get out to Texas. I mean, obviously I'm going to get back out to Texas and then other schools as well. So
yeah. So kind of give me some thoughts on a few of these schools at LSU. I hear LSU with you a lot. What is it you like about LSU?
My relationship with Coach Sloan is probably a big thing. I know been talking to him for a long time now. Was talking to him for a long time before I even had an offer as well, like Texas. And I mean, obviously you saw Jane Daniels here this year, and Nuss is next up, they said, for them. So I'm excited to see what they do this year, but I'm super excited.
I hear Penn State a lot with you too. What is it about Penn State you like, and when's the last time you were up there?
I was up there kind of recently this spring break for us. I got up there. I went up there with my mom and my dad previously, and this time it was just me and my dad, just to be able to see a little scrimmage day they had. But it was just spend more time with Coach Franklin, Coach O'Brien, Coach Koronecki, just to make sure that I'm showing face and showing my interest in building those relationships.
What is, before we get to like the football side of things, what's going to be important to you as this recruitment moves forward? What about close to home, far away from home, conference? What matters to you?
For sure. I feel like conference, I've always either wanted to play in like a bigger conference. Obviously, we just switched to Power 4, so I mean, there's not a lot of conferences left now. But I mean, you could say the bigger ones are like the SEC, Big Ten now is huge, and then ACC as well. But those didn't really much matter to me. Honestly, I hadn't really even thought about it like that. And then on top of that, how far it is from home, as long as I can get my parents to come watch me here and there, I don't really have a problem with it. I'm just trying to make sure I make the right decision. Whether that be across the country or not is that's how it goes for me.
So from a football standpoint then, what are you looking for? Because obviously there's the life outside of football, then there's a football part of it. What are you looking for in football program and a scheme?
For sure. I'd say for scheme-wise, I'd say pro-style type of offense, like being able to set you up for pros. I mean, obviously I'd love to win a Heisman as a quarterback, but maybe an offense that could put me in that sort of position as well. But just to be able to play around great playmakers at the receiver and running back position, have a great O-line. And then on top of that, the culture behind the program and the type of rooms those guys have and the type of relationships I could build with the players there will be big as well. So
obviously let's get to your kind of your background in football and when that began for you. Obviously, father played in the NBA a long time. Everybody knows he was a hell of a player, right? Mm-hmm. Did you grow up basketball? When did you transition to football? And when did you kind of realize I love football? Because most kids growing up love basketball nowadays. It takes a while for football to become the sport.
For sure. I mean, I always grew up a basketball kid, and there was always a basketball in my hand, but I mean, ever since I was able to walk and hold a ball, I could throw a football as well. So my mom eventually let me play when I was in second grade.
Was that the fight? That the fight?
It was the fight. Me and my dad were fighting against mom to let me play, and then but she supported me throughout the whole thing. And then I'd say COVID year is kind of the year where I took football serious. And I'm like, I really want to do this, and you couldn't get in gyms at that time anyway. So it's like, might as well take my chance with this. And I knew I wasn't going to be the biggest guy ever to be able to play basketball, but you got to be like 6'6" now to do it.
Yeah.
But, that's kind of when I took football serious. And then it kind of broke my dad for a minute, but he's always supported it and made sure I get the resources I need to be able to be the best player I can be.
What is it you love about playing quarterback?
I'd say being able to lead a team like of this caliber at American Heritage. At high school is only going to set me up for bigger programs like in college and stuff because this is already huge. Yeah. And being able to build relationships with guys, I feel like I'm a great relationship guy. I'm able to figure out what guys are better to respond to, and I mean, obviously not everybody's good at responding to yelling, and some guys are better at positive reinforcement. I just love building those relationships with guys and being able to lead them on a football field.
And what is it? When did you realize I got a chance at this quarterback thing, man? I might be pretty good at it.
I'd say freshman year going into summer. Okay. Before my sophomore year started this past year, I feel like I saw a big jump in my skill set, and then I was starting to grow as well. I started hitting my growth spurt, and I was like, I could really make something work here.
Is there anything with basketball that translates to helping you in football?
For sure. I mean, I've had this conversation with my dad. Yeah. That he wanted me to do track, and so I asked Coach Mike here, he's strength and conditioning coach, head coach. I said, should I do track or basketball? And he's like, I'd recommend basketball just because pocket movements, you'll be able to shuffle and make quick twitchy movements. Yeah. As a point guard in basketball, you got to be able to make split-second decisions like a quarterback as well. So I feel like a lot of stuff can transfer over from basketball to football.
What goes into making a big time quarterback in your opinion?
I mean, I just work. I mean, just whether it's mental reps, whether it's physical reps, throwing the ball on the board with your defensive coordinator, learning defensive schemes, or your offensive coordinator learning the ins and outs of your offensive concepts. I mean, whatever that looks like, and just putting in that work will take you forward.
By the way, you got one of the best D coordinators in high school football for real.
For sure, and I try and take advantage of that whenever I can.
Yeah, and so talk about, I guess as you get ready to make a decision, when do you kind of see yourself making a decision? And give me a couple of keys that are going to put a school over the top.
I'd say just the place that I feel like wants me the most.
Yeah.
Could be one of the keys, and then obviously you got the background, the culture of the football program, and their track record with quarterbacks. And then for timeline wise, it was for me and my family. We kind of thought about doing it before my junior season started. I mean, that's kind of up in the air, just trying to make the right decision. Right.
All right, this is Dia Bell, a 2026 quarterback at American Heritage. I'm Gerry Hamilton on Texas football. And last thing for you, what's your goal in football in your life?
To be able to be the best player I could be and be able to reach out and touch as many lives as possible through it.
Yeah. Do you know what you want to study in college? Are you that far along in this process? Do you have interest? What are your interests?
I mean, I've always been interested in business, so
okay.
I mean that's kind of the thought right now. I mean, obviously when time gets closer, like
that's what I was saying. Do you do research on business schools yet, or are you not at that point? Is it more football and kind of culture being around programs?
When I take visits, I'm for sure to ask about it just to see what it looks like. But like as the time comes, I'll probably deep dive more into that.
Yeah. Oh, so I got to ask this too, man. Are you still an NBA fan?
Yeah, no.
Is it the Heat? Is that your team?
Nah, right now I'm a big Anthony Edwards fan right now.
Who isn't, right?
Yeah, everybody.
I mean, Minnesota's locking it down.
For sure.
I'm sure your dad likes what Minnesota's doing defensively.
Defensively, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So what kind of input, I forgot one thing I wanted to ask. Mm-hmm. Your father's been, obviously, he went to FIU, so he wasn't a national recruit like you were, right?
For sure.
But he was a professional athlete. Who does he help guide you through this process? Do you kind of guide yourself? Kind of who do you rely on, and how does he help you?
He's definitely been able to be a figure there to guide me through it. I mean, we're learning as time goes on because obviously basketball recruiting is a whole different ballgame than football recruiting. Even back when he was in recruiting process, it's way different than now.
Yeah.
So we kind of learn as we go. I mean, he helps me guide and make my decisions, as well as my mom. She played soccer at FIU as well.
At FIU? Okay.
All-conference soccer player. So she chimes in whenever she has to, but Dad has been a big factor in guiding me through.
Who's the better athlete? I'm putting you on the spot. This is on camera.
I can't.
You can't?
I don't know if I can do that to either of them.
All right, that's Dia Bell, 2026 quarterback at American Heritage. Thank you very much for joining on Texas Football today.
Thank you for having me.